Hi, welcome to Outland Woodworks. My name is Shane, and today we are going to be unboxing, assembling, and installing the Harvey RF-36-I router fence onto our RT800 router table, which is installed on our Harvey HW110S 52P table. Let's get going. Open it up and see what we got in here. And that thing is a monster. Directions. A Allen wrench set. And then it looks like just the fence, which I'm going to pull out. Maybe this thing is heavy. Oh my goodness. Thing of beauty right there. Very nice. It's like all aluminum. The dust port portion is plastic. And there is a little guide here that is also plastic. Other than that, everything else is metal. Got spoil board attached. So let me pull the directions out here and take a look, and then we'll get over to the machine and drop it on. Doesn't look like it'll be too complicated. Be right back. So before we get over to the table, looks like here, one of the first steps they want us to do is remove the guard from the back and install it on front. So we're going to slide these out of the way. And the guard is installed on the back, which is also a place to keep it if you aren't in need of it. Very neat design. Flip these stops up and slide this on. We do have a rule up here. We're just going to get this close to 0. Drop it down a little and snug that up. Okay, so now we'll get over to the table. Now that we got everything moved over here to the tabletop, a few things to note. This table is still pretty much in its original condition from when I initially assembled it. I haven't put any treatment or anything on this. What I did do is I keep a light coat of WD-40 on it while I do this entire build. It has taken a while and it has been very humid here, and I want to try to keep any rust from developing. So I am going to go ahead and put this on the table to show you the install, but I haven't done any prep, so I want to take a rag and I'm going to clean out these 3 slots, which is where this will be mounting to, and get any grime and debris out of those. Okay, now that we've got those cleaned up, a couple things we have to do to get this ready to set in here. there are 3 different things we need to loosen up. We need to loosen up the T-bolts for both of these outer guides, and we need to loosen up this guide here for the smaller slot. And the way that the distance they ask you to do it is about 10 to 12 millimeter on the T-bolts. So we will loosen those up. And the reason is they are going to drop through, and I don't know if you can tell or not, there are cutouts where the bolt will drop down into a narrower slot in order to lock this down. It should be sufficient on that one. And again, we're just turning the large T-handle bolts on the other side. And this one, there is a very small adjustment right here. There's not one on this side, it's only on this side. There's a very small knob that you can rotate and bring that one out. And now we're going to set it down into place. We're close to where we want it. We want to try to keep these parallel with our slots so they will slide down in there properly. Okay, now we want to adjust our T-nuts until they do drop down below the table. It doesn't feel like I've dropped them low enough. And we're going down through the cutouts to get these bolts on the other side of that slot. And there we have them on the other side of it. I'm going to bring those up just until they touch and then back them off. It's a little stout at the moment, but we will adjust that. Let's go back and see what they want to do for our next steps. Okay, now that we've got this set down in here and got our bolts loose and in our slots, there is one part here that I did not see in the directions, and it could be that I just did not read them thoroughly enough. But I will provide a picture here and show you. There are 4 bolts on this micro adjuster that you will want to loosen so that it fits perfectly in between all 3 slots. When I set this down originally, this was a little bit off and it didn't want to fit right. So I had to loosen those 4 bolts and get it centered in there. So I still have those loose at the moment. The next step they want you to do is to adjust our screws on these rails. And to do that, there are 4 screws in the back that hold our spoil boards on, and we just have to loosen them a little and slide those out. They are a 3/4 inch MDF dovetail on them for holding them on the fence. And then we are going to take, I believe, our 4 millimeter. Yes. And I'm going to loosen them because I think they were a little tight from the factory. And they say to tighten them until you see the bearings roll when you move it. Now I'm going to go ahead and loosen all of these up to make sure there is no tension there. Okay, all the tension is off. So now we want to snug these until we see the bearings spin, both bearings, which is incredibly difficult to see. Okay, those both are spinning. The back, they are not. Okay, now we have all those spinning. So that means that they are all tensioned properly. And we will move on to the next step. Okay, so we have gotten everything adjusted, I think, about where we want it. We need to do a little bit of fine tuning on it. Next thing we want to look at is the parallelism of the fence to the T-slot. I am still waiting for my gauge to get here. It was supposed to be here yesterday, and of course it's lost somewhere, and I don't have it yet. to adjust that. And the way that you will adjust that, I will be using a dial indicator with this T-slot, is there are 2 bolts on either side of your T-bolt and 1 bolt in the back of the base bracket holding this. And what you'll want to do is set up your gauge and lock it down, find out where your deviation is. Whatever the deviation is, pick a side that you'll want to get a shim about that thickness. It's not a permanent shim, it's just temporary. You just need something the thickness of that. And you're going to back this all the way back to the stop. Slide it forward a little bit. Put the shim behind the wheels of the guide so it pinches between the wheels of the guide and the table on the other side. Set it in there and push your fence. After these bolts are loose, these 3 on whichever side you decide to adjust. And then you're going to back that up until they bump it. And once they bump that, you are going to retighten these bolts, which will offset the whichever guide that you decide to adjust in order to straighten that up. We are going to go ahead and reinstall our spoil boards here. Again, you snug them up just by the 2 bolts in the back. Oh, the other feature I wanted to tell you about on this real quick, on the other micro adjuster. So this micro adjuster will adjust your entire fence, okay? This micro adjuster will adjust the offset of this spoil board to this spoil board. So if you're cutting and you're taking, and it will go up to 1/4 inch. So if you're taking, 1/8 of an inch off as you cut, you will turn your micro adjuster, if you can see this here, you will turn your micro adjuster and it will push this board out to whatever distance, and there are marks on the back of this, that you need for your offset. Very well built, very sturdy. I'm not at all disappointed with this fence. So that is what we got for now. If you've got anything from this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you like these kind of videos and you'd like to see more, consider subscribing. If you know someone else that might be interested in this information, feel free to share it. I do appreciate your time and you being here. So we will catch you next time.